The last few days have been cold camping. Today is hot camping, and there are mosquitoes out, so we covered ourselves. But now I'm having the spicy pasta, and so I'm getting really hot. So I'm sort of in between what I should do here, so that's why I look like I'm in pooping posture.
I've been all around the world, every city, every place, always been a restless girl.
We're going to go into the Cuchimatanes, which are these highlands of Guatemala in the mountain range, and from there we are going to go to see the llamas. There is a llama farm that we're going to be able to camp at, and that's where we're going to spend the night. Did you just stall?
So Jess, you wanted to go say hello, and it decided to defecate right as you approached.
Yeah, now it's peeing a whole lake.
So you've been peed and pooped on by a monkey, and now a llama has greeted you with defecation. This is how cold it was last night. There is ice in Moxie's water bag.
So it looks like we woke up to a white Christmas. We've got frost on everything on the bikes. It was cold. It was probably minus 2 or 3 degrees, which is like, what, 28, 27 degrees Fahrenheit. And it was cold, cold, cold. Oh, I'm going here. So we wore all of our clothes. We went to bed really early. And then at midnight, there was a huge fireworks display that they do. And this is pretty typical in Guatemala, where they'll do fireworks, but for Christmas, Christmas Eve is obviously the bigger day. And at midnight, everybody starts to celebrate. So it was probably like 26 minutes, almost half an hour of fireworks, and they were loud. I think we must have been like really close to it, because you could see all of the explosions going on from our tent. And poor Moxie. Moxie is really good with fireworks in Guatemala, like those bomb sounding ones where it's just a sound. And it normally doesn't happen in like rapid succession. But here it was like consistent. And like she came up to us in bed, she crawled over, and I could feel her, she was shaking a little bit. And it was because it was loud, so it was a bit disturbing. So I can understand that. But soon she calmed down. And so today we are going to go south. After 2 nights of camping in cold weather, we're going to go south to Antigua. And from there, we're going to spend the next 2 days working. So I did a thing. I thought that this lovely bag here was full of pancake mix. So I started mixing it, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. It came out like this. It's like all mushy. It's like, no matter how much water I put into this thing, it like just kept sucking it all down, and it wasn't turning into like a batter. And so I was like, I told Greg, I'm like, it doesn't taste right. And so I got a little bit on a fork and I gave it to him. And he was like, yeah, it just tastes a little sweet. And I was like, well, maybe because it's a different brand than what I normally would get. So maybe that's why it tasted differently. And so I put it on the stovetop, and it's like bubbling. It's like not doing like a typical pancake thing where like you get little bubbles around the edges or whatever. It started like bubbling, like it was boiling. Like, what the hell is it? And then I realized, I was like, Greg, this is not pancake mix. I'm like, check your other side of your Revel Stokes to see if there's another bag that looks sort of like pancake mix. Lo and behold, you found me this. This is pancake mix. This is protein powder. So I just made a huge thing of protein powder here. That we're gonna have to take with us, this gruel here. And so I made Greg a little bit of a gruel here with oatmeal and some bananas and some cinnamon with this protein powder mix. So that's what he gets to have for breakfast. I will be having pancakes.
So for all the camping we do, we find ourselves, you know, always making instant coffee. We've tried like drip coffee on the road and all those kinds of things that are available at places like REI and whatnot. And it always leaves us wanting. And so as a result, we'll pack everything up, we'll have had coffee, and then we'll enter sort of the next town, village, or city and just sort of be scanning around for a proper coffee shop, for a good latte or cortado. So we've been investigating and searching far and wide, and we have discovered the greatest thing ever. This is the Nanopresso. It comes in a few different sizes. This is just absolutely amazing. So the hot water goes in here, okay? So that's where you put the hot water, right off the camping stove, which you can hear behind me. You put your, in this case, we've extended it with the barista kit so that we get a double espresso, so it's a double shot that's in here. So you put the coffee in here, and you tamp it down with the handy little tamper, which fits inside the water bowl when you're not using it. And then you screw the top on, and so now you have everything you need for an espresso, except for power. And you are your own power. There's no electricity, there's no batteries, no plugging in. This pump, which starts off closed, you turn it to unlock, and now you simply pump it. And it's about 30 pumps to empty the chamber. 1 second per pump. And there we're going. So you can tell from like the look, the appearance, the frothiness, this is really like barista level coffee. I mean, it is really good. We have a very solid espresso machine at home, and honest to God, this makes a stronger, cleaner, like sharper espresso. It is spectacular. So now we have our powdered milk that is ready. You can turn that off.
So
all of a sudden it's quiet.
So I'm the one who likes more of a latte. Greg really enjoys the stronger cortado. He'll have the espresso with just a little bit of milk. But I like to have a latte, so we normally get like powdered milk at a town or something like that, and we'll use that. So here's Greg making my latte. Perfect.
Okay. And what better than serving it in your My Pup Goes Camping mug from RUFFLY.
So Moxie's got like poop in her paw. It's gotta be llama poop. That's gonna be great. I'm gonna have a poo bear on my ride today.
At least she's downwind from you.
Here I am on the run now. Been there for way too long. I'm off to chase the sun now, for you know I'll be gone. You were the better actor, but then you looked away. I headed for the back door, no longer parted in your play. In your play.
Moxie is supposed to be exhausted. All she did was attack llamas and fight with other dogs this morning.
Moxie's playing with the llama. It's okay, Snoop. Moxie, sit. Can you sit? Sit. Yes, good girl.
And so she was getting just a little bit fussy, so we stopped for a break, for lunch, and now she cannot be obliged to lay down and relax. So that's the one we've got here.
Try to find me, but they never will. They wonder and wonder how you ever stand of all the king's horses and all the king's men. Here I am on the run now, been there too long. I'm off to chase the sun now, for you know I'll be gone.
So we just spent the last 2 days or day and a half here in Antigua. After 2 nights of really cold camping, it was nice to be here in Antigua where it is a little bit warmer. It was a nice sort of break for us to be able to work on RUFFLY. We had the sweepstakes, our giveaway. We announced the winners on the 26th, so that was really cool. It was our first giveaway. We actually have another one that's going on right now that we are going to do the announcement on the day of our launch on March 5th. Let me tell you a little bit about the GoRUFFLY Around the World adventure, supporting Girl Up. It's going to be an 18-month adventure across 5 continents, where I'll be riding my motorcycle with Moxie on the back in her K9 moto cockpit. The fundraiser is to support Girl Up, which was founded by the United Nations Foundation, and their whole goal is to do leadership and development training for girls around the world. They work in over 120 countries, and they have helped over 90,000 girls. The goal is to raise $100,000 for Girl Up during this adventure. So I really hope that you'll go to goruffly.com/world-adventure to donate today and help us reach that $100,000 goal. So we did that. We did our Boxing Day sale also for RUFFLY, so we were busy doing that. There was one issue that we did have on my bike. I noticed when we stopped at one point that there was a little bit more of oil leakage. We had an issue with my my battery at some point. The battery was not a maintenance-free battery, and it had acid. And at some point it started to leak. And it leaked and caused some corrosion in the tubing that led to the oil. And that's what was causing a bit of an oil leak. So we got the guy in Panajachel to really go through the bike. He took it apart, he fixed everything that needed to be fixed. But then again, to yesterday or the day before, we noticed there was still a little bit more oil coming out. So Greg took apart the bike and he realized that there was there were 2 tubes that go in that have this metal clamp on it, and one of the metal clamps wasn't exactly where it should be, so it's possible that it sort of started spurting out. So he cleaned it up, put it back together, and we're hoping that it's not going to be a problem anymore. But we're doing a short ride today to Monterrico. It's like a 2.5 hours, but we will stop within the first like 30 minutes and see if there's any more problems with the oil or anything like that. So we're hoping that it's been fixed and that we can move on.
We were riding high, do you remember? No one will deny. We were invincible, heading for the sky before we started falling. We were torn apart and then slowly coming to a halt, and we stumbled down upon our knees, so we started crawling. The darker the sky, the brighter the stars, shining upon wherever we are. No matter near, no matter far, the darker the sky, the brighter the stars. Waiting for the dawn, where to go now, where do we belong? Yeah, I know that we try to stay strong, but we keep on falling. The darker the sky, the brighter the stars, shining. Upon wherever we are, no matter near, no matter far, the darker the sky, the brighter the stars. I know there are stories.
Far from a glamorous spot that we've found, and yet when you make your way up this way on this quite literally burned out two-story structure, you have what could be really a perfect camping terrace over the beach.
Hold on there, hold on, stay.
Because then, frankly, we have a view on the bikes.
Oh yeah.
And you got actually a lot better wind.
That's great.
So look. Which allows us to not have to bring our bikes onto the sand because they are right down here. And so that's quite nice. We can keep an eye on them. We can enjoy the increased breeze and ventilation from being a little bit higher up, and hopefully less sort of ants and annoying creatures up a little bit higher. So really, this is fantastic. This place is owned by these people right here that have, I guess, like a little corner cocina, like a little kitchen. I wouldn't call it even quite a restaurant, maybe a comedor. They were perfectly happy to let us camp here. And we actually found a tick on Moxie today. It was right there in the open, and that was disconcerting. And as I'm saying this, I'm wondering if I see another one here. No, I think that's just some dirt. And so we're gonna jump in the water to maybe give her a good degrousing, and then that might solve that problem. Jess and Moxie left me behind and just bolted down to the water. Yeah, that's sort of how we roll as a pack, is leave no one behind except whenever you feel like it.
We will carry on and let the future
prefers her kibble out of the bag when it goes into the bowl. If I put it from the Ziploc, it's like she thinks that it's like old food and she doesn't want to eat it. But like if it's from the bag, it's like it's brand new and she loves it. So
what a priss our dog
the
is.
Dog we got.
there are mosquitoes out, so we covered ourselves. But now I'm having the spicy pasta, and so I'm getting really hot. Plus, I put my sleeping shorts on inside my jeans so that it would just be easier at the end. Like I wouldn't even have to change anything, I just take my pants off. But I got in over my head. The last few days have been cold camping. Today is hot camping. And so I'm sort of in between what I should do here. So that's why I look like I'm in pooping posture.
Hi guys, thanks for watching. I hope you really enjoyed the episode. I want to talk about wild camping and random camping spots. When Greg and I did our north to south trip in 2013, we had all of our camping equipment with us, but we rarely camped. And I think the reason is because in Canada and in the States, there's always established campgrounds that you can find. But in Central and South America, it's not really the same thing. It's harder to find those places. And because of that, we didn't put all of the energy and effort into finding them, so we rarely camped. And it was something that we've sort of always looked back at and wished that we had done more of. So when we moved to Guatemala and when we started riding with Moxie, a lot of places obviously didn't accept dogs, and so it was more difficult to find places along the way when we were traveling. And that sort of led us to finding more wild camping and random camping spots along the way. So for example, we would ride from A to B, and at B we wouldn't really have a destination or accommodation set. So what we would do is around like 3 o'clock, we would sort of start looking around and see which places looked interesting to us that we could potentially camp at. And a lot of those places were farms or fincas, places that just looked natural and interesting for Moxie as well, so that she could run free. And we would basically just ride up to those places and ask and say, hey, like, can we camp on your property? Like, can we put up our tent over there? And most of the time they said yes. And it turned out to be like these awesome experiences in places that we wouldn't have camped otherwise. And all it took was for us to ask. In this episode, you saw that we wanted to camp on the beach in Monterrico. And so we went up to that hotel and we asked if we could camp on their beach. And they said no because it was against their policies. But the guy we were talking to, he knew the neighbor who had that half-finished building there. And that guy said, sure, go ahead, you can camp. Nobody's doing anything with that building. It's a safe place. You're welcome to camp there. And it turned out to be really cool. We had access to the ocean, we had the beach, we had a safe spot for our bikes there, and we were off the sand and there weren't that many bugs. So it turned out to be pretty cool. But it requires you to ask. One of the other experiences that we had here in Guatemala was we were trying to get to Huehuetenango. We left a little bit late from the house, so we weren't going to make it. And on the side of the road, we saw this really nice farm that had this structure on there. So we rode up there, and the security guard came out, and we asked, like, can we camp here? And he had to call up the owner just to make sure that it was okay, and the owner said yeah. But what he did inform us was that some people had died on that property, I don't know how long ago, but at night their ghosts come out. So we stayed up and we looked. Unfortunately, the ghost didn't come out for us, but it ends up being a really cool story. So I just encourage you guys, if you have the opportunity, to give it a shot and just ask. And the worst thing that can happen is that they say no. And for me, it took me a little while to feel comfortable with that, just sort of that awkward feeling of going up and asking somebody and potentially having them say no. But we had so many good experiences for it. It really outweighs the few no's that we've gotten along the way. So I would encourage you guys to give it a shot. And security-wise, if you feel like anything is a little bit off, if the person you're talking to feels a little bit sketchy or the situation is sketchy, feel free to bail. It's really not worth it in that situation. But if the stars align and everything feels good, I would encourage you guys to go for it. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram at GoRUFFLY. Okay, talk to you soon, guys.